Hello. Today we're going to walk through Chapter 6. It's a shorter chapter as far as sheer page numbers, but it's a very important aspect of critical thinking in our partisan world. We're going to talk a little bit about partisan bias. Actually, we're going to talk a lot about that. This idea of blue pill thinking. If you've never watched The Matrix, you need to do that. Political advertising, things such as micro-targeting. I'm not adding to the big words with this particular chapter, but we'll get there. We have one more in chapter 7, but that's chapter 7. Okay. Almost all the critical thinking skills and principles covered in this book can be applied to politics. Basic critical thinking brain work is usually all you need to unpack most political claims and arguments, but political tribalism, extremism, polarization, and media technology have made the job more difficult. Some parts of the political milieu now seem to require a different kind of treatment. This chapter discusses two of them. The first one is partisan blindness. Okay, millions have embraced the outrageous, demonstrably false partisan claims of our times, such as the lie that COVID-19 vaccines are dangerous and ineffective, that the 2020 presidential election was stolen, and that the Nuremberg Code says that mask mandates are a war crime, or that U.S. government is controlled by Satan-worshiping pedophiles. Most of us go, really? But there are folks who really, really believe these things, and so it's helpful for us who are trying to think critically about everything we read, especially advertisements and such, that we have to look on things. A lot of these folks don't just dispute contrary evidence. For them, the idea they reject is impossible, and there can be no conceivable other side. And you hear this a lot in the media right now, especially in the confirmation hearings and things like that. People are trying to go, look, does this work? Does this not work? Okay. In an epistemic sense, which is epistemology is the study of how we know things. Okay. So in that sense, these folks live in their own alternative reality, like those in the movie The Matrix, who would prefer to take the blue pill and thus continue to live unaware that they're in a simulated world where nothing is real and fantasies rule their mind. There's a whole kind of, you're either on the right side or you're not. There's no kind of, oh, well, I can see where you could understand that and you would know that, but I don't agree, okay, or it doesn't move me to agree. One of the big things is negative partisanship, when beliefs are formed primarily because of hate for another group. And we talked about my group is better than all the other groups back in chapter 2. So, but if someone has blue-pilled themselves enough, they're going to absolutely believe in their conspiracy theory or whatever aspect they're on. And you really can't argue with them. You really can't change their mind, but you can be aware of its effects on yourself. Okay, so the first step is to become more aware of the problem, and that requires some critical reasoning. So here are some telltale signs that you're heading towards blue pillism. You've adopted at least one of these habits of thought. Basically, you reject out of hand anything that comes from anybody on the other side, whatever that other side is. And you wholeheartedly accept things that come from your side without any kind of thought, okay? You can't defend your views without relying on information that comes exclusively from hyper-partisan sources. So part of what we've been talking about in the first 5 chapters is you have to have reasonable and legitimate claims to something in order for it to be true or worth accepting. And this is basically the only place you get your information is from these hyper-partisan sources. All your reasoning is motivated reasoning. We call it motivism. Isn't that interesting? Motivated reasoning, of course, is that reasoning for the purpose of supporting a predetermined conclusion, not to uncover the truth. The fourth one, you can't formulate an argument for your position without using fallacies. And the most common ones are appeal to personal certainty. I just know this. I know this in my bones. Okay. A straw man, which what they call nut picking, taking an extreme member of an opposition group and treating them as representative of the group as a whole. They're not. They're on the extreme edge. And I would argue, along the same lines, that a lot of what people think of as Christian is not. It's fringe groups way out here on the edge that go, oh, yes, you have to believe exactly like I do, or, we can just not let you be here. And I think in recent news, the bishop who asked Mr. Trump to be merciful and to show mercy on folks who are most vulnerable, are, most likely to be picked on kind of people, and she's called out for it. No, that's really straight from Scripture, whether you're Christian or not. And it is one of those things where this is something, having mercy on those that are vulnerable and disadvantaged and such, has always been a Christian value. We're supposed to take care of people. And that she's gotten death threats because it upset Mr. Trump. I don't get it, but there's a lot of things I don't get these days. You won't or can't distinguish between, back up one. Number 5 is at the bottom of 190. You can't talk to anyone opposed to your views without insulting them, mocking them, scolding them, or yelling at them. Getting angry with your opponent only means that you've lost your way in critical thinking. Okay. Bertrand Russell says, the opinions that are held with passion are always those for which no good ground exists. Indeed, the passion is the measure of the holder's lack of rational conviction. If you have to get angry about it, it's going to be interesting. Okay, critical thinking isn't easy. It requires an honest, uncomfortable look at ourselves and the world as we and it really are. Okay, so there's a box for the thought, political bias and inconsistency. Now, I will tell you, there's inconsistency and then there's growth. Okay, we're not talking about the kind of inconsistency that would come from somebody thinking that, say, women should not be in the job world, or women shouldn't be in science, or women shouldn't be in technology. They believe those things at one point, and then they go, oh, well, that's dumb. That's not how life really is. Women are just as competent in any field as men are. Okay, I was wrong. I'm sorry. Let's move on. So now they're espousing equal opportunity and respect for people who are in a particular field or whatever, and that's difficult. Now, one of the things that we tend to do is we tend to hold the other side more accountable than we hold our own. And that's a big problem in this country too. And we have to think about, really, so think about the worst thing that you could say about somebody on the opposition. And then think about what you would do or think or say if somebody you like, somebody on your side, did the same thing. If you don't hold them equally accountable, you're biased. Okay. The other piece of this chapter, political advertising, the big deal is micro-targeting. Yes, negative political ads have proliferated, especially across social media and such. It's not a new thing. The first well, I wouldn't say the first. This is a TV ad. The first TV ad that was a negative ad against a candidate was in 1964. Okay. I was a year old. So, just so you know. Negative political ads. It's now commonplace for political videos to make candidates look as if they are saying or doing something that is completely made up. And there's a whole bunch of things on there. Okay. False video, combination of advancements in technology, the spread of social media, and an impressionable population allows video misinformation to spread rapidly. Okay. There's on 194 and 195, there's examples of political ads that have falsely portrayed a Republican or a Democrat of things that they never said or never did or whatever. They get rid of context, they mislead. The TV ads, manipulated videos, where you cut and paste, but it looks like one flawless thing. That's when I remembered earlier that we were talking about the technology for manipulating videos has come so far. You can make things up wholesale, CGI kind of stuff, but you can also take a video and replace various aspects of it and make it say things that the other person really didn't say. Things like splicing, doctoring, manipulating. It's awful. And then the bottom of 196, this micro-target. So micro-targeting, like I said before, is started out fairly benign for advertising, but it has reached a level where there can be 50 to 60,000 ads a day on Facebook. All of them, none of them seen by the public at large. Okay, it's an ad that I see on my feed that may be diametrically opposed to the same ad you see on your page. Okay, and it's ridiculous. So the whole dark advertising is things that are micro-targeted, but the public never sees the whole thing. Okay, this undermines the very idea of the marketplace of ideas, says Ann Ravel, a former member of the Federal Election Commission, who has long advocated stricter regulations on digital campaigning. The way to have a robust democracy is for people to hear all these ideas and make decisions and discuss. With micro-targeting, that's not happening. Okay, now, excuse me, there are ways to see kind of why you're seeing certain ads. Excuse me, on Facebook, there's the little three dots in the upper corner. If you click on that and then click on why am I seeing this, it'll tell you something about the algorithm. Now, it won't call it the algorithm because they think we don't know. But anyway, there's also a website called ProPublica that is an independent investigative newsroom. It's been compiling a database of political ads for a while. And it can show you, hypothetically, accurately, what did they say? There's two things here. The ads targeting a 45-year-old woman living in California who is a liberal, and the ads aimed at a 65-year-old man living in Washington, D.C. who's a conservative. Totally different ads, same outcome. Okay? So, and then the exercises are at the end. So anyway, I hope that helps you with Chapter 6. Please, please, please let me know if you have any kind of questions or problems with this, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. You know how to reach me. You have my email.